Hello, and welcome to the Postpartum Years podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ellen Kramp. I'm a physical therapist and a pelvic health specialist. Joining me today is Liz Jones from Jones Physical Therapy. She is also a physical therapist and a pelvic health specialist. So, welcome, Liz.
Thank you for having me.
So, today, one thing we wanted to talk about that we both see all the time in our practice is getting back to a sex life after giving birth. So, Liz, take it away.
All right. So I've been a pelvic health therapist for 20 years. I've had my own private practice here in North Dakota for 19 years now. So blessed to have a wonderful team, 6 pelvic therapists are specialized just in pelvic therapy. And then we have a couple that do some ortho and ortho pelvic. Well, every pelvic therapist is an orthotherapist, but we have some who just do ortho. When Mary Ellen came and did our course, he got the Good Sport Award and got to take all the extra berries home because he was a really good sport. But he does not do pelvic work. So anyways, when Mary and Ellen and I were kind of talking about some topics that we see come up over and over in our practice. And for me, I always say kind of what are the topics that really like light a fire deep inside of me that I wish people knew. It's really hard getting back into intimacy after having children. And I know there's some studies out there about like the rate of divorce, things like that, like after children and after a couple children, how much stressful marriages get, that sort of thing. So I think there's some physiologic reasons that we see a lot with our pelvic health work. So disclaimer, I am not a licensed counselor. So please don't take any of this as licensed counselor advice. And just for ease of conversation and not stumbling over words, I will just say husband, wife, spouse throughout this conversation. So take that as you want. I think I see so many. So I treat a lot of men too. I should say that for probably about 5 years of practice, just because of our personnel we had on staff, I was seeing only hemorrhoids and male pelvic pain stuff. So I really didn't get to see a lot of women for about 5 years in there just because of our schedules. Now train some other therapists to do more with the male population also. So I'm getting to step back more into seeing women again. So it's really beautiful. I've seen both sides. And there's just this honest, genuine missing of each other that I see so much with men and women. And I know there's the stereotypes of, oh, he only wants sex and my wife's always tired, right? But it's interesting how I think the messages of the world just continue to divide your relationship with that messaging. So it's interesting because I will see men just hurting because they miss their wives and feeling rejected because she just is always taking care of the kids and I don't know if she's even attracted to me, right? So these very vulnerable things they say. And then I hear the women's side saying like, I'm so exhausted. He only wants to have sex. It's like, oh my gosh, right? Like you're both saying the same thing. Like when you strip it down, you miss each other, right? Which I think is so important to remember. And again, I am talking a healthy, ordered relationship because there are definitely unhealthy relationships where there's abuse and manipulation that's not healthy, right? Yeah, I think that's a fire in me is to speak to the natural cycles of women right after baby. And I know Mary Ellen has talked about these things, but nature is saying you just had a human and you are the sole being that is able to provide and nourish this person for these first months. You are not ready to reproduce and have another human, right? So, I mean, that's nature says, shut it down. So what that means for a woman's body is your libido is going to be tanked. That is not the rest of your life. You're not broken. You're going to feel like a dry 80-year-old vaginally, right? Not fun to have sex when you're feeling that way. You might have never known what your urethra felt like before, but you definitely know what it feels like postpartum intercourse, right? It's just not comfortable. So there's that nature's way of saying, hold off. Your body's not ready to grow and nurture another human right now. And then for men, I think some women don't even understand that. So how is your husband supposed to understand that? So kind of take it from like the man's point of view of this huge thing just happened in our family. Like you're exhausted. No one's sleeping in the house. I really miss you. Obviously men are more geared to want to be intimate more often, just again, nature, they are fertile every day of their life. And then it feels like a very large rejection if it's not communicated.
My husband likes to counsel, younger people saying marriage changes nothing, kids change everything.
Yes.
And you have to come in, all of a sudden you're going from sexy partner mode
Yeah.
to all of a sudden feeling so almost gross at times, just with, constantly breastfeeding. Everything's wet,
Yes.
one place or another. Just feel very unsexy. The hormone switch kind of pulls that sexiness away for a bit. Plus, the vaginal dryness from lactation, those hormones tend to dry everything up for a lot of women. So some of them may need some vaginal estrogen to help with that. So there's that whole aspect. And then the exhaustion from caring for the baby and just being in mommy mindset. You, as a female, you really have to kind of make an effort
Yes.
to reconnect with your partner and something
Yeah.
like that. There's that aspect, and that's just for women who have like a pretty good pelvic floor
Right. Yes.
after birth,
Yeah.
because the ones that we tend to see don't necessarily have that. They had a lot of damage with the childbirth, and there's a huge fear and anxiety component as well. Like, oh my God, what's sex going to feel like? And
Yeah.
if they tried too soon, everything just kind of, that fear escalates, and the pelvic floor clenches a bit more. And then they're even more afraid of the pain in trying again as well.
And even trauma around labor delivery, right? I think especially with social media and things these days, everyone kind of, I shouldn't say everyone, many go into it with this ideal picture perfect thing that's going to happen in the delivery room and this beautiful scenario at home. And then I would say like the reality versus what we thought, it's like the beautiful sleeping baby or the like passed out with puke all over you, right? And I think so many women are hard on themselves. It's like, well, I'm not back to my workout. I'm not back to this. And I just say this, especially these first 3 months, especially just be so gentle with yourself. Because again, like everything you just said, that's all your body saying, like, this is not a time to reproduce right now. And this is not the rest of your life. And I say, when you're taking care of baby and you're nursing and you're still bleeding a little and stuff feels raw down there, it is really hard to go from that to turning around and being like the sexy, fun wife. And it's not like you're going to be this downer mom the rest of your life. But I think communicating that, because I think it's so common to feel like you're failing and then not wanting to even voice that to your spouse. And again, for husbands to be understanding that. And I think it's fun when men are in the delivery room, because I think before they've ever experienced that, they're like, really? You can't have sex for 6 weeks? And then after they see it, a lot of them are like, and I think validate your husband too. Most men are truly authentic protectors, right? So if they think you're in pain, that actually can also affect their ability to perform and stay aroused. And then that freaks a man out and they're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, and then they tend to dissociate a little bit too. Like, I don't know if I want to engage, or now I'm frustrated because I didn't perform like I normally do. So that's where it's so important to have those conversations of like, as the mom, hey, I'm really nervous to have intercourse because things don't feel the same to me. Or, and just that I love you and I do miss you, but I just need some affirmative touch right now that does not lead to intercourse. Like, it's okay to ask for that, because it's really confusing if like you're snuggling and he's like, hey, we get to have sex tonight. It's been a while. And then you're like, oh, you only want sex. It's like, okay, tonight, I know it's hard, but can you just snuggle me and not try to have sex with me? Right. And it's in a way a compliment in a healthy marriage that when he's around you, he's aroused and wants to have intercourse, right? It's easy. And we all get to that place where we're tired and you just like, are you kidding me? And yet really step back and see the simple truth of it. Like, he's attracted to you and he wants to be with you, and to be able to communicate, I don't feel well. And for men, hormonally, their libido is tanked. So yes, there's probably a point when you guys do start to be intimate that's like, hey, this is great, but just probably not thinking about it all day. It's just not naturally there. But like you said, it is so important though to make sure you're still turning towards each other, because kids can gobble up your time, your energy. They are wonderful. They are blessings, but
I
ultimately
wouldn't say can, I would say will.
they will. Yes, yes. But ultimately, if the happier and healthier your marriage is in your relationship, the happier and healthier and more stable your kids are. So it is so important to still see your spouse and to really just, how are you? I know we haven't had intercourse lately, but like I've not been feeling well, or just name that, because both husband and wife will tend to go to worst case scenario. And then that just marinates and it's not good.
Yeah, that's always a tough one. And then those who have pelvic floor dysfunction on top of that, that's even, the next level of trying to safely find ways to play with each other,
Yes.
and connect without, you know, necessarily the penis and vagina intercourse,
Yes.
that she might not be ready for a little while.
And women, really, that is nothing to be embarrassed about. It's actually, we as pelvic therapists see it all the time. We often, it's like, okay, let's do some internal work and really work on down training your body and its response to this, because it is your body saying, whoa, last time something was here, whether it's baby coming out or you tried intercourse and it didn't go well, obviously your body's protecting you. So it's really common, really common. And I think it's so helpful for most women to just work on that very gentle internal, so they can really quiet their body and connect to your body again and understand, like, okay, this feels okay. When I feel this stretch on this tissue, ooh, I guard. Okay, now let's be there. And then you can figure out the tools with your therapist that work best for you. For some women, it's stop everything and just breathe into it. For some, it's really picture that one spot I feel pain and soften it, right? There's different cues, I think, that work for different women. And it's really great to be able to do that with a knowledgeable pelvic therapist who can also work on physiologically quieting your body as you're doing it, so that the next time you try intercourse, you have those cues to be like, okay, hold on, just give me a sec. And I would say your husband is not going to mind if you're like, let's go in this far and hang out for a minute. Now let's try this far and hang out for a minute. Like, he's not going to mind usually. Do you ever talk about products on here? The O nut is one I really, really like for women with pelvic pain too, especially like postpartum if they've had some trauma. It's literally like these little silicone rings that kind of connect to each other. So you can use one ring or you could use all 4 or 5 rings. And he puts that on the shaft when he's erect. So literally, him, and you can actually relax and know that he's only going to be able to penetrate this far, and you can let your body kind of go, okay, I'm safe here. And then as you guys get going, maybe 2-3 sessions later, you can try taking some off and then penetrate a little bit deeper. But there's always that, and they're really soft silicone, so it feels natural to him. I feel like it feels safe for both men and women. It makes it feel as natural as possible and helps your body kind of rest into, hey, I can do this and I don't have to be guarded. Because we can say, okay, put hands on his hip bones and, put your elbows like this, hands on his hip bones so he can't go deeper. Well, then you're kind of holding and guarding. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like that one's just more natural if both husband and wife are open to it.
Yeah, there's that. And then there's also letting people be aware that, okay, the actual intercourse does not have to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or lots and lots and lots of foreplay.
Mm-hmm.
And, just maybe, okay, you just don't want to be touched there. Well, is there something you can do for him? Or, your partner, whatever, but just, to have that intimate contact.
Yeah.
So, if you're contacting on that emotional level and one of you is really wanting more on that physical level, what can you do that feels perfectly safe for both people?
I'll have couples do body mapping, just draw out on a, front, like the pain maps we use on our intakes a lot of times, circle the places that are really safe and really feel good to you and X out the places where you're like, not right now. It's just, again, no rejection to your partner at all. It's just simply, this is a spot right now that actually makes me tense up, because as soon as your sympathetic fight or flight ramps up, arousal is going to tank. So it's
Mhm.
really important to say, okay, where's my body feel safe?
Yeah.
But I think just, yeah, especially those first 3 months, just really be gentle with each other in all the ways, right? You're both transitioning, you're both figuring this out. Um, I think there's nothing for me. There was nothing more amazing. I always said I didn't know I could love someone as much as I loved this little baby when they were born, my first one. And I told my mom, I go, and I also didn't know I could love Joe more. But seeing him as a dad was like, oh my gosh, I love him so much more as a dad, right? And just, so I think too, sometimes we have to step back and think about the things that we're grateful for, and that, wow, like look at, like, this little person is here because of our love, right? It's just really amazing. And it's hard. You're tired, you're exhausted. And especially if kids are colicky, it makes it even harder. And you do feel
Mhm.
like you're failing as a mom. Just be gentle, and gratitude is huge. If there's online support, great, but man, be careful going down those rabbit holes of everybody's perfect life, that you don't
Mhm.
think you're living up to.
It's a
And just,
lie. It's a
oh,
lie.
it is, right? I just don't go on social media on maternity leave, please. But then also, just like we, didn't really mention, like, even like postpartum depression is a very real thing. So if you're like,
Mhm.
man, I don't feel right, like, bring that up to your doctor. There's so many hormones and changes happening, and just know this is not how your body is going to be the rest of your life. And try to be as open and honest as you can with your partner, because half the times you're not even sure what's going on in your body, because there's so many changes, and they're definitely not going to know. And same for men to your wives. Like, it's okay to say, I feel like you're not attracted to me. If that's the fear in you, say it. Let it out
Mhm.
loud, because you're probably like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, I feel unattractive right now, right? And then you laugh about it, that you both were going different directions.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And when people first start getting intimate again, one thing they may not realize is the magic buttons that used to be there are in different spots.
Yes. Yes. And things that
So,
didn't seem to be there before are there. So you're like, whoa, what was that you just hit? I think you hit my rib,
yeah.
right? And nothing's the same after kids in all the ways.
No, no, no. So it's different, and that's okay. That's okay that it's different. So just understand that what worked before isn't necessarily going to work anymore.
Mhm.
So it, take it as a fun little exploration session each time. Like,
Mhm. Well, that's
what's
different.
going to
Yeah.
work this time? Like,
Yes.
that's not, so your communication has to be really good going into it, because
Yes.
what was working may not work, but amazingly, sometimes things work better. Somebody who could only have one orgasm previously may have three or four every time now. So
Mhm. Yeah.
it's, things can be even better afterwards, which most people aren't going to believe, but
Yeah, yeah. And some things, just even in general, when people have painful intercourse, but especially after baby, that's usually the first time they're seeing me. They didn't see me before. Is, I think, that misconception that you need to be tight, right? Like, well, I don't. It doesn't feel good unless I'm tight, and I'm like, okay, stop. The world tells you that. That's restricting blood flow. It's making you more tense. It's going to restrict usually your ability to have arousal and climax. So I will tell women, I'm like, I want you to just soften everything. Cause they're like, well, I'm trying to hold in my abdomen and this, I'm trying to make sure my vagina is tight. And I'm like, ugh. Like, I actually had a 20-year-old, I was trying to teach her to relax her pelvic floor. And she goes, she didn't have kids. Well, I don't want to have a sloppy vagina. And I'm like, oh my gosh, honey, you have no idea. But anyways, again, you're self-conscious of your body, feels different, all of that. But I will say, like, do a test with your husband and say, okay, I'm going to do two different things. You tell me what feels better. Do one where you think you're doing this tight. It's got to feel good on him. And then just soften everything and just be, and just ask him, which one feels better to you? You might be very surprised. But I think that's really important too, to not be rigid and try to hold. And then another thing too, men are usually there when they are having intercourse. Man, that is, they are focused on that. Women, we tend to get very distracted. Did I make that phone call? Oh shoot, did I throw that diaper in the garbage? Right? Like, sometimes we complain it's not great, but I'm like, but are you there? Because I think we tend to go other directions. So Another thing besides kind of like focusing on gratitude when you're feeling down, when you're having intercourse with your husband, try to block everything and just think, I love this man so much, or this man really loves, honors, and respects me. Depending on what's going on with the woman, it might be, I am sacred, honored, blessed. This man truly loves, honors, respects me. Whatever it is, to really focus your mind and your whole body on that moment, because it's really powerful. I mean, literally, life can be created when you guys have intercourse. That's mind blowing. But just to really focus on, this man really loves me. And think about when you were first dating, the first time you held hands, how excited you were. Like, you're having intercourse and you're like, it's just, which happens, right? It does. But sometimes I feel like, man, I'm not getting aroused, or I'm not. Sometimes that can help to really just focus on, I really love this man, or what am I tasting, smelling, feeling right now? That sort of thing. There are going to be some hard seasons when you have kids. But I think the drier and harder those seasons are, really our roots can grow so deep. But they're not easy. But they're worth it. They're so worth it. I mean, you've been married a long time. I've been married 20 years, 5 kids. Would I want to go through those hard times again? Absolutely not. Um,
Ah.
have they made us so much stronger and just more unified? Yeah. And I now wouldn't change them. Don't want to go through them again, but wouldn't change them.
Well, thank you very much for sharing all that information with us, Liz. And I hope you all out there got some good tidbits out of this conversation. So we will see you next time on the Postpartum Years Podcast.